Hello, Democrats. Hey, I am speaking, and I would love your attention. There is a black woman at this podium, and I deserve your attention like the 11 people who went before me. Yes, I am speaking.
Good evening, Democrats. Look up here. 3 strong black women standing before you. 3 black women who, rather than just grabbing a chair, ran for chair.
We are sick and tired of being the last one hired and the first one fired. We are sick and tired of the
be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
I am a black woman. Nobody cares. It is Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett. We have Shelly E. And it's Monday, so we have Soldiers of Finance with us. How are you all doing tonight?
Good. How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Good. Wonderful. Yes. So before we dive in, I am a black woman. There are 3 black women here. You got to listen to us tonight. Ridiculous. We're going to get into that, folks, and more. But before we do me a favor and hit that like button, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. It certainly helps us to amplify our voice here on YouTube. So the likes, definitely get the likes up. So, of course, we are here on YouTube and Rumble. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out all of our super chats. So it's the best way to get your voice heard in the conversation and to show your love for conservative content. And I just got to shout out the first chat of the night, came on before we even started, JCL. I want to shout this person out. Says, hey, gals, first one in the chat. Speaking of Grammys, my girl Joy Vila was there and she killed it, both in style and her interview. You should have her on sometime. We'd love to have Joy on. I know her. Well, I don't know her personally. We've met her a couple times. So we would love to have her on. And I did see her interview. She did a great job talking about President Trump. All right. So this is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us, subscribe, so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everybody, let's set it off. Lots to talk about. So before we really get into all the politics, I mean, everything's happening so fast. We got to talk about this DNC chair election. So that happened, which you guys saw on Saturday, right here in Maryland, actually. So that, along with a slew of other roles, including vice chair, the Democrats held their elections for the Democratic National Convention. So this was broadcast on MSNBC to viewers who were eagerly waiting to see what the party was going to do or how they were going to move forward after the massive loss in the last election. So, I mean, this thing, if somebody hadn't told me, I would have thought it was a joke. What do you think, Shelly? Did you see it? Any of the footage of it?
Unfortunately, I did. I will never get that time back. Unfortunately, I did. They had the folk singing or the spiritual singing going on. You know, I am the black woman. I am so sick of this. All those people there, they didn't know you were black. They didn't know you were a woman. Oh, come on. So what it shows is that even at the DNC, what I'm calling now the Dawn Negro Convention, because that's all what they wanted to bring attention to was them, these ladies particularly being Black. And then the one man, he's the first. Who cares? This is why you lost, and this is why you will continue to lose. What are the issues and the policies that you are going to put forth that will presumably make Americans' lives better? You don't have that. All you have is your skin color and whatever your sexual status may be. It's sickening. That is sickening.
Yeah, Nicole, you are a Black woman. What do you think?
I wish I had pearls on so I could clutch them. Ooh, clutch the pearls. Let me tell you, I was just thoroughly entertained. It was when they started doing the Cupid shuffle and everybody had 3 left feet, girl, the way I hollered. But here's the thing, and this is what's really interesting. Black women have completely annihilated themselves from the Republican Party for the most part. There are some of us who are in the trenches, but on the large scale, not so much. When you look at the people who won these seats, tell me again how you have a seat at the table, because I'm telling you, them eyelashes, that attitude, and them acapella, old Negro spirituals got voted right off the island, honey. You got killed. They got wiped out. Yeah. And the one Afro-Caribbean, non-binary vampire from the Bronx got 0 votes. So tell me again how the Democrat Party isn't righting their ship. This is a very, very, very white board. Yeah. And we're not talking about local Democrat leadership. We're talking about their national leadership. These are going to be the people who are going to make the decisions on which states get how much money to win which elections. Now, you tell me again, if you're a non-binary Black guy with cornrows, Afro-Caribbean vampire from the Bronx, your chance of getting money from this almost lily white board. Black women lost with Kamala.
Yeah. Yes. Soldiers of finance. I had to ask you this part. When they started singing, "We shall overcome," does it make you think? Does it make you all warm and fuzzy inside hearing those old Negro spirituals?
Acapella,
people voted for that. We shall overcome.
It kind of took me back to the old days a little bit, but one positive that comes out of this is we know we can start a strategic eyelash reserve, and we would corner the market. And China might have rare earth elements. We got eyelashes, okay? Look, like Nicole said, all of this bluster from these Black women, and they turn around and they put David Hogg, and
Ken somebody.
Ken Martin. In Minnesota.
And look, right. Look, this is, in all seriousness, this is the Democrat Party saying very explicitly, we're done with the dumb shit. Okay? Yep. Even if you listen to what Hogg said, he said, look, I've been out there, I raised $11 million. All right, I don't agree with your politics at all, but you have done what a chairman is expected to do, right, or vice chair is expected to do, which is raise money and advance the message. Not get up there and scream about, I am a Black woman, and all this other tripe that they were getting up there doing. And the vampire from Brooklyn, he didn't even vote for himself.
He got no votes.
Right.
0 votes.
I think a lot of those ladies didn't. The quintessence lady, she didn't get any votes. A doctor. She's a doctor.
Miss Ma'am. Yeah.
Placenta.
She needs to go on American Idol. I mean, she was singing up a storm. She should
everything you asked, she sang.
It was.
I think she had on a Shirley Chisholm t-shirt too, underneath that said "Unbossed," "Unbought," and "Unbossed," which was Shirley Chisholm's line.
Well, come on now. Now we all weekend or all over the last week or so since the tragic plane crash at Reagan National, we have heard nothing but the Democrats and from liberal media talking about how DEI is bad. Trump is getting rid of DEI and it's not right. And, you know, but then you have the DNC and all they're talking about is they're leading off with, I'm a Black woman. So, you know, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? That stuff is why Trump is getting rid of DEI. We shouldn't be leading off with that.
KJ, I love it.
They had to be repeated at the DNC election convention, whatever, leadership convention. So it goes to show that all those people there, they don't care. You had to kind of make them notice, if you will, or pay attention. The 3 Black women up here, you know, David Hogg, again, I don't agree with his politics either, but he actually did the work, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting though, mostly because probably for the last 2 cycles, you saw Black Democrat women banging their chest. We don't have a seat at the table. We own the table, and on all this hubris and bluster. And here they are. I think there was like 4 or 5 of them that were running for various seats. And they took the same posture that they did in 2012, 2016, 2020. I'm a Black woman and that ought to be enough. I checked that box. The guy who's a non-binary Afro-Caribbean vampire from Brooklyn checked every single box that anybody could conceivably think of and got 0 votes. When I talk about party shifts, this is what I mean. They went so far to the left that they couldn't keep their base. Not a regular person, not even super special people. And when Bernie Sanders is second guessing himself, that's when you know you've gone too far. So they're riding the ship. And for them, riding the ship means cutting off the dead weight. When did that become Black women? And what will they do? What will they do to have seats at the table again?
The other thing that the Democrats, and we talked about this on the show, remember when a cadre of Black women basically gave the Democrat Party an ultimatum that they better put Kamala up, okay, without the need for a primary. Or the woman said, or we'll burn the party down. So they gave it to you. You're underperformed by a wide margin. They're not risking it again. But the Democrats' Achilles heel is all of these bizarre Star Wars bar scene people that they have in their party.
Yeah. And the thing about it is it's okay, you know, it's fine if Black women, if you want to say I'm a Black woman or you a Black woman, I have no problem with that. But that shouldn't be it. Exactly. You know, where's the substance? Where is what you're going to do? Show me your experience. Show me what you've done. You know, being a Black woman and shouting it from the rooftops is not enough. And we know now that it was a grift, because not only do they believe that should be enough, they believe it should be enough so much so that they got to lie and put up a Kamala Harris who wasn't a Black woman. And they had to lie and say she was. So you know, again, this is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And it has been rebuffed. It has been rebuked by the country. And now, because it has, and because we're trying to get DEI out everywhere, they're calling everybody racist.
Yeah. They reminded me that these people at the DNC, particularly these women, they reminded me of this group called the FBAs. They're just squawking. But what are you? What are you doing? What is your purpose? What have you done? So what? You are whatever you say you are. That's who they just kind of reminded me of.
Oh, yeah. Well, and in full disclosure, because Tariq Nasheed did do a video on us, a reaction video on this show. He got it wrong. We are all FBAs. We are not Caribbean. He called us Caribbean for some reason. We are not Caribbean. We are FBAs. We were born here. Our ancestry begins and may end here in America. So you guys get that right. Get that right. It shouldn't matter though. It shouldn't matter. But this is what it is. So folks, hit that like button while you're here. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already subscribed. And to my fellow FBAs, this is your tribe. We are all FBAs. This is FBA owned and operated. So you have a home here. We may not agree on everything, but you do have a home here. We are FBA run and operated. All right. So there you go. But we don't agree on everything. So if you come in here to agree on everything, then you're at the wrong place. But we are FBA. All right. So moving right along, the big story of the weekend was that President Trump launched massive tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. Take a look at this. This is clip 1.
Are you ready to increase the tariffs against Canada?
Well, it could happen. If they do anything, we will. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. They don't allow our banks. Did you know that? Canada does not allow banks to go in. If you think about it, that's pretty amazing. If we have a U.S. bank, they don't allow them to go in. Canada's been very tough on oil, on energy. They don't allow our farm products in, essentially. They don't allow a lot of things in, and we allow everything to come in. It's been a one-way street. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada, and something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them, and this is retaliatory. This is retaliatory to a certain extent. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that.
All right. So, I mean, this story moves so quickly that now it's been seemingly resolved. Before I get into it, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. So we have Rico Wright with the Rico Wright. So we gotta stop this color mess. We are American. Right on, Rico. Right
Absolutely, absolutely, my friend.
Yep, and that's what we push here at Poppin' Politics. We are pro-American, and actually to take it even a step farther, I am pro-kingdom. So I am a daughter of the king, and that is how I identify. So certainly I appreciate you there. And please, folks, continue to like, share, and subscribe. Get those likes up. We have almost 300 people watching tonight, and we want to get those likes up. So please like, share, and subscribe. All right. So let's get into this, because Trump pretty much played all-out war on Mexico, Canada, and Panama. So far, all three have caved. The Mexican president came out today and said that she is moving 10,000 members of the country's National Guard to the U.S.-Mexico border to stop drug trafficking. So Trump, said he was going to lay down those tariffs, and she complied. So I think at least for the next 30 days, they're going to try to come to some deal. But for now, the tariffs have been put on hold. Same thing for Canada. Canada was huge. So, Trudeau was all over the news talking about he was not going to wheel and deal with President Trump. He has bent the knee. And said that he's going to stop the flow of stuff coming over the border. Is that right, Soldiers of Finance?
That's absolutely correct. They can do math. So they sat down with a simple sheet of paper and a pencil after all the bluster, and they came up with the following figures. 1.7% of the U.S. GDP is attributable to Canada. 2% is attributable to Mexico. Now let's flip that around. 14.5% of Canada's GDP is attributable to the U.S., and 23% of Mexico's GDP is attributable to the U.S. So what that spells is we can cripple their nation. We can send Canada into the third world status with sanctions. And advisors got to them, economists got to them and said, you cannot win this. Get on the phone, talk to this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nicole, what did you think about all this that went on over the last couple of days? Before I get you in, I want to play this clip, because the media, before this deal got done. The media was making it seem like this was the worst thing that President Trump could do, and it was going to actually crush our economy. This is Morning Joe. This is clip 3, and they are talking about how bad of an idea these tariffs were prior to everyone bending the knee to Trump.
We should note, again, you and I have said this in the air many times, there is no evidence that Joe Biden was, involved in any wrongdoing.
Of course, I want to note that there is no evidence that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
I just want to reiterate.
And let's be clear for the viewers.
There is no evidence Biden did anything wrong.
Governor, you got a second?
Literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
This is why independent media is so important. Thanks to people like you, patriots who love America and stand for truth, we're making a difference. Together, we've turned them off, called them out for their lies and propaganda, and held them accountable for their disdain for God-fearing, freedom-loving Americans like us. But we can't stop here. It's time to take action with our dollars. Let's make 2025 the year we double down on our commitment to values-driven choices. Vote with your dollars. Support Made in America. Back companies that honor our families, faith, and country. We found an exciting way to make this switch, and we want you to join us. Check out www.popandswitch.com and click Yes, I Want to Make the Switch. It's that easy. It's time to walk away from corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard that undermine our principles. Let's invest in America. Let's support businesses that share our love for this country. You don't have to take on everything at once, but you can start here. Join us in making this one small yet powerful step. Visit www.popandswitch.com. Click the link and schedule a call with our team to learn how you can make the switch. Together, we can create real change.
Well, American consumers will suffer exactly. There will be inflation. But, Molly, let's just put to the side the moral concerns. There are grave moral concerns about what's happening with USAID. But let's just talk strategy for a second on two things. One, or three things. I'm going to go three things really quickly. One, on shutting down USAID. I mean, we use our USAID, as I said before, to help us with soft power, to help us strategically, to help us chase down al-Qaeda, to help us get insight and intel on ISIS, on what China's doing on the continent. You look at the FBI, a purge inside of the FBI. Who's cheering that? Al-Qaeda, ISIS, drug gangs, China, Russia, spies that are going to be able to run rampant in the United States because they're looking inward and starting a war there. And finally, on these tariffs, listen, you don't have to be smart in economics to know. This pushes the EU.
25% tariffs.
This pushes the EU. This pushes Canada. This pushes Mexico into the arms of China. And say, okay, well, if the United States is going to do this, let's figure out how to deal more with China. So all of these seem to help those who consider the United States an enemy.
So that was obviously not correct, right, Nicole?
Well, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Exactly. They have no idea.
And this is important to know about Mexico. 80% of their imports come here. They trade with 20% of the rest of the world. So if not for us, their economy collapses. Okay. So these people are propagandists, A, and they're economic illiterates, B. They wouldn't know how to communicate the truth if they were interested in telling it. So the proof is in the pudding. You saw what Sheinbaum and Trudeau actually did.
Right.
Yeah. This is political talking points, because if you turned from ABC to NBC to MSNBC to CBS, you heard them saying the same things. These are just straight DNC talking points. They had no faith in Trump's ability, Mr. Art of the Deal, to seal the deal. But what's interesting is this Trump effect is happening around the world. Shortly after Mexico quote unquote, cut the deal with President Trump, this 30-day stay on levying these tariffs against them, Ecuador, little tiny Ecuador, slapped them with a 27% tariff because they're like, well, wait a minute, we're upside down with you too. And we're tired of your gangs and your drugs in our country too. So this is not, as Trump said, this is not about an economic war. This is not a trade war. This is a drug war. He didn't want Canada to say, oh, well, we're glad we will be the 51st state. No, he didn't want that. What he wanted them to do is put some people on that border and stop the flow of fentanyl coming into this country. The same with Mexico. Now, we can handle the people that are coming because we got some Marines down there and God knows they know how to handle their business. But sneaking this drug that has killed 250,000 Americans is unacceptable to him. Unacceptable to him. So we have some work to do at home. You know, America being a consumption type of state or a country when it comes to drugs and alcohol and that kind of thing is a thing. But the way that they were just dropping drugs in our nation without any repercussions had to stop. And this is how you stop it. You want to play games? You want to ruin our youth? I will shut your whole country down. Test me. And that's the conversation he had with Trudeau. All of that bluster they were talking about. Oh, be good neighbors. You know, that's about as angry as Canadians get. Yeah. When they took a poll, them Canadian citizens was like, you know, I don't mind being the 51st state. I mean, America's a great country. You know, they're ready to talk.
So what I'm thinking is that, number one, President Trump obviously supports FBAs too. Fences and borders across America. So he supports that too. So I say yes, even President Trump. That's number one. Number two, pretty much anywhere in the world Americans go, to some degree, we subsidize these economies. Now, European economies may not necessarily fail like Mexico and Canada and Colombia. They would necessarily fail if the U.S. pulled out. But let us pull out of the WHO, the WEF, NATO, as President Trump has done, United Nations. Oh, they will suffer greatly. Americans want Americans first to be cared for and to be provided for. And I'm using the provided for not so much from the government subsidies, but we want our money to stay here and support our own interests. That's what Americans want. And that's what we definitely have the sovereignty and the right to do. So all the FBAs, all the fences and borders across America, yay to President Trump, any kind of way. This is what we need to do. Colombia, Canada, Trudeau is on his way out anyway. What I think he said in March or something, he's out. Mexico, they quickly regrouped. All of these countries, you know, they want to flex. Something to flex. President Trump says, I'm going to one up you. People don't understand, even countries, there has to be a win-win. America has been footing the bill for virtually every damn body. Enough is enough.
And let me say this. What I don't understand is how, and I know you all have seen the same thing across social media. We have seen the Democrats, we have seen leftists. They were rooting for these other countries. So that's what I don't understand. Look, I understand people have an issue with President Trump, but he is trying to do what's best for us, and especially Black and brown neighborhoods. When you talk about what has been going on with Canada and the border, right now, there are more terrorists coming across the Canadian border than the southern border. And fentanyl. And where do these things go? They're not going to rural areas. They're going to cities like Baltimore, Chicago, Philly, and so on and so forth. Sucking up our social services and ruining our neighborhoods with drugs and crime. So why am I seeing people on my timelines rooting against America and against President Trump? It makes no sense to me.
You're seeing that because people like Chuck Schumer, if anyone follows the Dracula, that whole thing, Renfield was Dracula's like little henchman. That's who Chuck Schumer really reminds me of, Renfield. The guy that was, yes, boss, that guy. He comes out and he says, and they always do this, your avocados are going to go up, and that's their only argument, is that a damn avocado is going to go up 50 cents. You know,
You know, Democrats love their slaves. They always have, you know, and from their standpoint, who's going to pick our crops? My goodness, who's going to clean our bathrooms?
That's exactly what the bishop said. She came right out and said, what about our permanent underclass?
Right.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know, the problem with assigning a certain group of people, whether they're American or not, to be, you know, low class and crop pickers, when most of them are living in major cities around the nation, it's absolutely, here are this Democrats, racist. It's absolutely racist. The one thing that you guys throw around like a Frisbee, you're living up to. You know, everybody wants the United States to be secure. People should be safe. Women should be able to walk down the street without being accosted in every state in the union, in every single state. And until we can get back to that point, he should be, you know, rallying these other countries. Come get your folk. You don't want to come get them, we'll drop them off to you, however that works. But we have to be a sovereign nation. And I think using tariffs, using the military, using threats, saber rattling, whatever he's got to do to make America safe again, he should do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, but we also know that because of all of what President Trump is doing, the illegal border crossings have gone down with Tom Homan and ICE. So border czar Tom Homan announced over the weekend that the Trump administration has seen a dramatic drop off in illegal border crossings.
Yes.
We're talking 2 weeks now, is it? He's been in office? Has it been 2 weeks yet? Yeah. So we had to go 4 years under Biden. He said he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything without Congress. Trump is in there for less than 14 days, and we've seen the border crossings go down 93%. They were lying, and they continue to lie. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
Yeah, that means, put it simply, out of every 100, if you break it down, out of every 100 illegal immigrants, 93 of them have gone back. That's what they're deporting. I love it. Not only has it only been 2 weeks, again, President Trump, his administration, they are coming from all angles. We have the immigration. We have Musk over here with Doge. We have the borders and the tariffs going on. All of these things are going on at the same time, and we are seeing results. We're seeing results that are in America's best interest, number one, and we are cleaning up our borders, hoping to making it safer for American citizens, stopping the human trafficking, certainly putting a huge dent in it. And I hope it ramps up. I am looking forward to Homan and ICE coming more and more through these sanctuary cities and rounding up these illegals that are here, including the mayors. If they want to stand in the streets and try to block, I want them to round it up too. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Tom has said that he will enforce the law. He will absolutely enforce the law. No respecter of what office you sit in. So if you're out there in the streets and you're prohibiting them from doing what they need to do, it is absolutely obstructing justice, and he will arrest you. He has every right to, and he will
arrest them. Because if you're here, illegal immigrants, you're welcome legally. But if you're here illegally, you got to go. You got to go. And you better go before they come and find you. Because at least if you go before they put you out, then you can come, you have some chance of coming back. But if you're not out here before they come, if they got to put you out, you can't come back. So,
listen, one of my medical offices is in a heavily Hispanic area. I mean, heavily. You can't go anywhere without, somebody trying to sell you a pupusa or something on the side of the road, a coconut, what have you. So it's a good food place. But, culture-wise, it's a little difficult if you don't speak Spanish. Literally, Spanish is the official language of this area. So, maybe about a week ago, I went to the AutoZone to get some windshield wiper blades. And I was like, well, where are all the guys who stand outside and put it on for $5? When I need them, where they at, right? So there was nobody outside. And it didn't dawn on me until I got back to my office. There was no coconut guy. There was no woman with the shaved ice. There was nobody with the corn drink. And I was like, this place is getting to be a ghost town. This week, sailed right in and right out Nobody to be found anywhere. So either they've self-deported, but probably not, or they're hiding in places where they don't think ICE will look. But it definitely has made a major difference in communities. Absolutely.
I want to bring up this comment again here. Shauna Fisher says, does anyone else wonder why Trump is the first president to do these things, to put America first? He seems to be the only president in modern history that has actually cared about the people of his. I'll give you my perspective on it, because these Democrats want to change our country. They are trying to, they believe in open borders. We can see that. I mean, I don't understand how anybody can say that's not the case when we see literally how Trump has closed down the border in a matter of weeks. So they could have done it. They did not do it. They chose not to do it because they want open borders, because they want to take away our national sovereignty, because they want one world order. This is what they're trying to do. They want one world order. They want us to be a global empire or global area, and they don't want people to have a national sovereignty. That's what they're trying to do.
I can tell you my thoughts why President Trump is one of the first, certainly in the modern era, because he's not being bought. His interests are Americans and America first. He's not beholden to whatever lobbyist or whatever other special interest group. If you don't like what he says, and he might say things that offend or upset some people, fine. But ultimately, he wants to make America great again, to repeat a famous phrase. That's what this is what any elected official should be doing. America's interest first, not their nepotism, not their family trying to gain wealth or become wealthy on the American dole, not whatever group they can cater to and placate to just to get more votes. That's not what it should be. But Trump is certainly the first, and he is the courageous one to do so. He says what he's going to do. He says what his policies are. And this time, certainly even more so than 2016, he's following through right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, my thoughts are this. I think that bullet changed everything. As somebody who's watched him grow politically, his first term, although he's a very smart businessman, he was not ready for the swamp, and the creatures got to him and his team like nobody's business. And we see that with like Alyssa Farrow and all the people who defected, but technically still Republican, Michael Steele, those type of people. But once Butler happened, it changed everything. I really do believe that he believes that God spared him to do this work. The messaging changed. Everything became streamlined, and the campaign was no longer run like, oh, we're going to win the presidency. The campaign pivoted from that to, we're going to save America. And that really hit the button for a lot of Republicans who were kind of sitting on the fence with him, saying, I might sit this one out, that kind of thing. But when he got up and held up that fist and blood streaked across his face saying, fight, 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 man, that did it for a lot of folks, including him.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the soldiers of finance?
No, I agree. He's looking at this thing like, look, they've tried to impoverish me, tried to imprison me, tried to kill me. Okay. So I am, 78 years old? 78 years old. I've done everything. I've had 4 years to sit back and really examine the situation and think about what I would do if I got it again. And here we are. Okay. The biggest mistake the Democrats made was stealing the 2020 election, because it gave him what most two-term presidents don't have: 4 years off to plan.
Yeah. I agree with you so much, Tyrone, because having, as Democrats call him, a lame duck, which technically he is a lame duck, he has nothing to lose. He already has the money. He has a beloved family. He has the whole MAGA movement and Republicans and conservatives behind him. So everything that other people would sell their soul for, he already owns. So what's his onus for doing the things that he's doing? He just loves this nation. And loving this nation means he's setting it up for greater things after his time is done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think JD Vance is going to make a great president. I think he's going to come in and pick up the mantle and run with it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do very well, but I caution people, there is only one Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
There's only one. So, and I think he's coming along at the right time in history where we need a lot of these things exposed, like USAID. Don't call it USAID. They want you to call it USAID because they want you to construe it with something beneficial. USAID, he's vanquishing that. And here we are. We're not even a month in.
Right. And I want to talk about that next. I want to talk about this USAID next. Before I do, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Thank you all so much. We have Gimpy says, chaotic truth is the undisputed king of the FBAs. Dave Anderson. Okay. Well, we know Dave Anderson is a friend of the show. Chaotic Truth is a friend of the show. So, certainly appreciate that. We also have Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat.
Kung Fu.
Also donating his salary again. That's right. Good point. He is donating his salary again. So, and I want to talk about this USAID because I'm a little confused on it. So this is Marco Rubio. He has now become the head of this USAID and want to get into it. This is clip 6.
What's USAID? What's happening at USAID and how that affects the country?
Well, look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate.
Are you currently in charge of USAID?
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy.
Wow. So he was right. Now, they did find out that 97% of political contributions from USAID employees went to Democrats. So I want to open this up to you all. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
Remember the protesters at the universities when October the 7th happened and they were shouting, "We shut shit down. We shut shit down." Well, I say shut shit down. The USAID. I'm not upset about it. Again, it's supposed to be for international development or humanitarian crisis. We can strategically support and subsidize, if you will, some humanitarian events. But this is a whole $70+ billion a year agency. What are we getting for it? What have we gotten for it? Except more debt. Every year the price goes up that we pay, and we can't even account for it. Most of the money, I was listening to Marco Rubio with Megyn Kelly. Most of the money is going to other, like you said, Democratic parties, other agencies, or administrative costs. Where is our money? Bring it home. Shut shit down.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to acknowledge these super chatters before I bring you in, Nicole. All right, thank you all so much. Rico Wright says we have a lot of people that aren't working. Have them pick fruit if they want government assistance. Also, turn the border into a military base. All right, Rico, thank you so much for your $5 super chat. We certainly appreciate it. All right, so Nicole, what's your thought on this USAID?
So, from my perspective, USAID has always been akin to Voice of America with money, right? So they go in, they do nation building, they do propaganda, but they do it through these agencies that they're funneling money through. So it's become like a gigantic money laundering scheme, right? And the problem with that is it's our money. It's our money, and I don't care if the children in, Quebecistan don't have teddy bears. I don't care. That's not my point. But from a governmental standpoint, if we really want these kids in Quebecistan to like the Americans, we're going to drop some Hershey bars on them and some coloring books and some other stuff in order to curry favor with these nations. The problem with that is it's not working. We're not currying favor with any of these nations. Buying condoms for people in Gaza has not made the people in Gaza like us. It doesn't work when you're buying friends. And then it became a political slush fund. And that's when the rubber really met the road. Shout out to Elon, who's doing like his level best to lock stuff down. But it's been a long time coming. And this is not a secret. People around the swamp have long known that this is where, certain wink, wink, nod, nod, NGOs get large checks to do very little, if any, work.
Exactly. Yeah. Tyrone, what are your thoughts on this USAID?
This is another reason why the powers that be don't want to go to a tariff arrangement in lieu of a tax arrangement. Because, see, they can rob us, which they've been doing since 1913, and actually accelerating that robbery, and use our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, funnel them outside of this country. And then what they'll do, like in the case of Bill Kristol, this so-called conservative that runs all these little conservative think tanks, they'll give him money. He'll make contributions to certain politicians as a kickback. This all needs to be thoroughly investigated. Then what he'll do is he'll send money to various agencies that he's supposed to, and he'll cut himself a fat salary. Okay. USAID has $50 billion to play with annually. The combined budget for all of the intelligence agencies in the country is $72 billion. USAID is getting more money than the CIA. Okay. And it's leaving this country, then coming back in the form of kickbacks and salaries to well-placed individuals. Our money.
Yeah. It's terrible. In the 2024 election cycle, according to the Daily Wire, USAID staff made a total of $406,790 in political contributions, according to data collected on Open Secrets. More than half of that, $241,079, went to the former Vice President Kamala Harris. Only $999, a 0.25%, went to President Trump. So basically, these numbers highlight that the politicians are biased. The political class is biased, and Trump and his team have said they need to root out this kind of stuff from USAID. And so that's why today he said that the agency would, and its $50 billion annual budget would run by radical left lunatics who went crazy during the Biden administration. That's quoted by what President Trump said. So I'm hoping that they do get into this and root it all out. Another headline that was recently made by President Trump is, according to ABC News, he could sign an executive order any day now directing the Secretary of Education to dismantle the Federal Department of Education. This is according to sources briefed on drafts of the order. The proposed order gutting the agency is expected to call for the Education Secretary to submit a proposal for dismantling the department and for Congress to pass legislation to get rid of it. So, Nicole, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a good idea?
I love Linda McMahon. I love her. I love her spirit. I love her business acumen. I love that she's tough like a man and feminine like the most beautiful woman. And she is the person who's going to save the good things about the Department of Education. There are a few. And she is going to take down, all of the CRT, all of the power of the union that dictates what children don't learn in school. She's the person who can do this and do it well. She's fearless. Absolutely fearless. And yes, I know that name McMahon sounds familiar. If you're a WWE fan, her husband Vince and her took greasy, muscled men and made billions.
Yeah.
She's the woman who can take it apart. But we do need to have a reckoning. Some of the things that are happening in this country, people outside of the DC area don't really hear about quite often. But when you hear that Elon is shutting down computer systems of federal agencies because they're deleting things and moving things, he's doing that for a reason. Mm-hmm. He's absolutely locking this stuff down the same way Trump said when they were dismantling DEI, do not shred one document. Do not. Because it's one thing to kill off the leaves. We got to get it at the root. And that's what's happening with USAID. They have to get it to the root. It's going to be the same thing that's going to happen at the IRS. They have to get it to the root. The Department of Education, the same thing. Get it to the root and then move it to where it belongs if it's still going to be an agency. But, the Carter administration made a horrible, horrible misstep with the Department of Education. It's been a loser organization from day one.
Yeah, rooter to the tutor. And soldiers of finance. So, you do have the left saying that if the Department of Education is removed, then we will, local places will lose funding for things like IEPs, for things like, all those types of things. And it's a bad thing to happen. They're saying that it was the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education, that helped to integrate schools and, stop racism amongst the schools across the country. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's certainly not true.
Exactly.
But it doesn't surprise me that they don't know their history. The Department of Education was established in 1979. Schools were integrated well before that. Every metric in this country that has to do with education has fallen since 1979. Yes. We're not even in the top 10 as ranked internationally with regard to our reading, writing, and arithmetic scores. We're not ready for the middle part of the 21st century in terms of turning out a workforce that is technically competent or even able to write a coherent sentence. So why do we beyond the make work jobs that it has created, there's no other give this back to the states and the localities. Let them keep that portion of the tax money that they are sending up to. We don't need a Department of Education to receive tax money and then send it back and acting like they're doing something, magnificent. So I'm all for it. Get rid of it tomorrow.
But
I was going to say, Tyrone, again, I'm going to put it in the bottom line, real local terms. Do you, any of us or anybody that we know, do you think it's better that you make your money and then you give it to someone else and they tell you, oh, we're going to, like you said, we're going to give it back to you this much, or even a percentage of it, a portion of it. And then we're going to decide how it's best to use your money, but you go out there, earn it, make it every day, and then bring it to us. And that's what you should do, because we're the government and we're here to save you, right? We know what's best for you and your family and how to spend your money. Bull crap. Bravo, Sierra. This is the mindset that we talk about on here that has to change. It's not the government's money. The government, I know what we say and what we mean when we say the government, but the government is really people that we elect supposedly to manage the necessities of what the government is supposed to do, not manage our lives, not manage our children, not manage what refrigerator we buy or what car we drive. That's not the government's role. It's beyond the scope and the boundaries of what it's supposed to be. And again, I know I've been sick and tired of it for a long time, and thankfully more and more Americans are as well. They are waking up, and thankfully even more, we have President Trump and his administration spearheading it all.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge our super chatters. Folks, thank you all so much. We have Mr. Whisper with a $10 super chat. Says, I think it's sad how the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, who made headlines for taking over apartments in Colorado, have now been 65% cleared out in mere weeks. Something Biden couldn't do in months. I agree. Let me tell you, I believe that President Biden should have been impeached. He should have been brought up for impeachment just on his stance on the border. Because he failed to protect our borders, and he should have been impeached for that alone. Blanca Tapuasco with the $10.
Hi, Blanca.
Yes, his whole family got the flu, but love to support you. Thank you, Blanca. Praying for speedy recoveries for everybody. That flu is going around. I know so many people who are sick right now. Rico Wright with the $5 super chat says, them folks not buying $50 million worth of condoms. They stealing money. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
That whole thing was a money laundering scheme. Yeah, absolutely. Shauna Fisher with the $20 super chat says, thanks for answering my post. Love your content. We appreciate you, Shauna. These super chats really go a long way. And another thing that goes a long way in assisting us is our merch. And we heard you guys. Many people were asking us, where is the Bitch Butch Bishop t-shirt? Here it is. So we have this Bitch Butch Bishop.
She's on it.
We have this on our website.
Make sure you get one.
Yes, this is for that Bitch Butch Bishop, as Shelley called her, from the National Cathedral, who was trying to slam President Trump over his immigration policy that is now, giving us our sovereignty back. And so we made a shirt thanks to a viewer who sent us this photo, this drawing, and we made it into a t-shirt. So you guys go on, you can write to our website, www.popandpoliticslive.com, and click shop, and you can get your Bitch Butch Bishop t-shirt.
Looks just like her too.
It does.
Yes, it does. All right. So moving right along, let me see here. I want to change gears a little bit and go back to the hearings. So the Senate hearings for President Trump's nominees, specifically for RFK Jr. So you guys know we're all about MAHA here, Make America Healthy Again. And he got into a back and forth with the Maryland senator. You guys know we're from Maryland, Senator Alsobrooks. And take a look. This is clip 5.
You were on a show on February 26, 2021, an interview with Dr. Judy Mikovits, where you said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving Black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that Blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received? What different vaccine schedule should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than
This is
so
so
you get the
dangerous.
same measles vaccine. but
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will
With
be
the
voting
truth
against
is
your nomination
that's
because
science.
your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
I mean, do you think science is dangerous, Senator? This is published peer-reviewed studies.
I yield.
So
a black fool.
Yeah.
A black
on that
fool.
Mhm.
Okay, this upsets me so because NIH is a government entity. Lady, you've got access to this information. Blacks have greater bone protein density. Okay, this is not revolutionary. This is not new. And she gets on her high moral horse and says it's dangerous. No, you're dangerous because you are ignoring proven medical science in favor of some weird. If you're not going to vote for the guy, fine, don't vote for him. But to get up there and act like this is so verboten is just strange. It's weird. And look in the mirror also, Brooks. You're the reason why they just now put up 2 white men to lead the Democrat Party.
Yeah. Yeah.
That same attitude of ignorance.
Yeah, she wouldn't even let him finish. And you can tell she didn't want him to finish. She just wanted to, have her moment. She asked him a question and then she cuts him off before he can finish. Nicole, is that right?
That's what they're trained to do, right? So her staff sat her down and said, this is the point you're supposed to make. You wait till the end of your time where he doesn't have adequate time to speak. You cut him off and then you yield whatever time you have left. It's political gamesmanship, something that Angela Alsobrooks is very familiar with. But in her little diatribe, she spoke about danger. Now, the county that I live in is adjacent to her beloved Prince George's County, where she was the state's attorney before she became the county executive. But during her tenure as county executive, all 4 years, Prince George's County topped 100 murders each year, a 500% increase in carjackings. 13% of the people in the state of Maryland say they feel like their health is good to poor. It's 16% in Prince George's County. So nothing in Prince George's County was safe. Prince George's County, for people who don't live in Maryland, used to be one of the wealthiest Black enclaves in the nation. 500% uptick in carjackings, more than 100 murders a year. And you're talking to him about vaccines? Honey, Maryland's got bigger fish to fry. This is not your moment. We knew you weren't going to vote for him. Everybody knows you're not going to vote for him. But why not ask him a legitimate question? Why not give him a chance to respond with the science that you guys jammed down our throat when you made us close businesses, stay home, keep the kids in the house, because trust the science. Does the science only count when it benefits your party? Because that's exactly what she's showing us. This was the worst mistake that Marylanders have ever made, electing this woman to this office. And you hear Black Democrats in Prince George's County to say, I love Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan is a great leader. He did wonderful things for our state, but we just couldn't trust a Republican in the Senate. He was going to flip the Senate to Republican. Over and over again, I told them, Larry Hogan is never going to be the deciding vote. Never, ever. We're going to win the Senate well before Maryland's votes are even counted. We're going to win the Senate. Now we're stuck with this goofball.
Goofy.
And she's just starting. She literally is just starting.
Yeah.
Goofy.
What? Go ahead, Shelly.
Okay, so somebody's gonna be upset with me, but that's never.
I knew you was gonna come with this.
That's never stopped me before. Okay, let me start. I did not vote for Angela Alsobrooks. I will not vote for her. However, if I was sitting there, if that's all that I saw, I would probably not vote for RFK Jr. on that particular point right then and there. And let me tell you why. Because to me, he did not clarify himself. He did not bring any specific evidence. All he quoted was this one study, and that study, I think it was published by the Mayo Clinic. I have it up here. I'm on my computer at the same time. But some of the study researchers, I guess, they even said in the study that it was not geared to just change the schedule. There were some other components that they did not understand why in this particular group and the control group, the experimental and the control group, why these seemingly different immune responses happen to the same dosage of medication. So again, if I were in that audience or if I was a voting member on that particular point, I don't think RFK demonstrated enough information and knowledge to change anyone's mind. So I totally, in this case, I understood from Angela Alsobrooks' perspective. Now, again, I knew she wasn't going to vote for him. She wasn't going to vote for him. This was all.
Do you think what he said was racist? She said what he said was racist.
I don't think it was racist. No, I don't. I don't think it was racist. I just don't think that he represented the science or the experiment well. He should have put more information up, but maybe they didn't give him enough time. They cut him off, or whatever. All of that may be fair, but he did not. To me, he did not look like he knew what he was talking about. It looked like he was just throwing things out. So that's how it looked. I'm not saying that's what he intended, but that's how it looked. So I can totally understand her response. Again, she wasn't going to vote for him anyway. I get that.
Well, the thing is,
she asked him a specific question. What should you do with me? Because, I'm Black. Right. And he said, well, the studies show that Blacks should get fewer antigens. Okay. And then I know that a lot of people may not have done this, and it's fine to just listen to the testimony, but the Mayo Clinic did do a study, but NIH has a whole bunch of documentation on this. And here's where Alsobrooks fell down. Listen, if there's any doubt, then you should not be so strident in your position. Because if you say, okay, well, I don't want to look like a fool here. So, all right, Mr. Kennedy, well, you can provide us with more information on that. And then you can have your grandstand moment. And I'm not voting for you. Well, we all know that anyway. And just keep it moving.
I think she could have done things a little bit differently too. If that were my point to make, God forbid if I was ever a Democrat, Lord have mercy. Don't let that ever happen. But if I were ever a Democrat and I was in her position, I would have referenced history. So there would be some context to why I was, quote unquote, so offended by the thought process that Black people would have to get fewer shots than white people. And I would say, the United States has a pretty storied history of treating us differently when it comes to pain, when it comes to maternal fetal health and experiments on our bodies. So when you say we get things, shots differently, we should have a different vaccine schedule. Precisely what does that mean?
Exactly.
And then he could have said, well, the study showed what he said, but in 17 seconds, neither one of them have the luxury of clarity. She pulled that study out. That was her gotcha moment. Imagine you have an hour to talk to all of these people, and they're looking at everything you've ever said in your life, everything you've ever written, every interview, and they're pulling stuff clean out the sky. So it's almost virtually impossible to be the kind of prepared that you would be for something way back.
I can understand that too. And another point that I thought about was that, like you said, for years now, we've been hearing from the left, the medicine is racist towards Black people. So then why is she so upset? He's saying something that seems to support, well, if medicine is racist against Black people, then we want to slow down some of these medications. That's number one. Number two, all this is highlights my point that I've said many times before. Where we are today, almost no one trusts any institution, medicine, law, whatever the case may be, even religion. So we are in a quandary because the science can say one thing in one decade or one experiment, and the same experiment or a similar experiment can be replicated or done again, and it can give us some different results. So we don't know who or what to trust.
believe.
Yes, the Mayo Institution is a credible, it has been a credible institution. So has NIH for, I'm just saying, generally speaking, right? But this is the problem. We don't know who to trust anymore. So RFK, maybe he's right. Maybe Angela Alsobrooks has a place to push back. This is the problem. And this is due largely to our government overstepping many bounds, lying to us, the media not taking and doing what they should do, their rightful place in their righteous, if you will, digging in to give the public the facts. That's a lot of that is due to that. So now we are like this. We don't know who to believe, when, where, what, or why.
Listen, and another thing this displays is, that Senate is supposed to be set up there, to advise and consent. But ever since C-SPAN, when everybody's faces on TV, they're trying to play to the cameras and they're trying to have these gotcha moments. And it's not just the Democrats, let's be fair.
It's everybody.
When you had the Republicans interviewing Biden appointees, they got the FAA guy up there. And well, how often do they change the third light bulb on the right side of the runway at LaGuardia? And I don't know. Okay, what's written on the men's room wall at JFK? Who knows? They're setting these gotcha questions up instead of endeavoring to be substantive. The other thing you saw with RFK in particular was Senate Democrats come out and run defense for the pharmaceutical industry. Okay. It's Elizabeth Warren, she damn near started crying. She was so passionate about him not suing the pharmaceutical industry. Like, what the hell's going on here? Who do these people work for? They revealed it during his confirmation hearings.
He dragged Bernie for it too. He did. Bernie was stuttering and stammering and reaching for papers that didn't exist. It was an interesting thing with him because typically politically, nobody likes a traitor. When you change parties, everybody looks at you kind of iffy because they don't really know, are you a plant or do you really believe in what you're saying, right? For him, he doesn't see himself as someone who's changed parties, but this is what he's always wanted to do. And Donald Trump has given him the opportunity to serve in this way. I think the Democrats, Senate Democrats, came after him especially hard because here's one of ours who's, jumped ahead and is doing what we don't want him to do. And Senate Republicans were like, we don't know if we trust you. We don't know because you're not necessarily one of ours. But there used to be a time when being a good American was much more important than being the top Democrat or the top Republican. And we've moved so far by that. Again, just looking at that one snippet and the way that Angela Alsobrooks could have framed her question, she could have came out of there, made her point, look like a G and a great American all in one time. But it was more important for her to get the TikTok snippet, the view snippet, than to actually ask a question that would have moved the debate forward. Listen, with the history that we have with them in medicine, and it's not like an old history. Some of this stuff is really recent when we talk about the treatment of pain in African Americans. And let's not even bring up Henrietta Lacks. We ain't even gonna go there. But when you think of all the things that we've endured, when you start saying, well, we're not going to get the same things that these people get, there's going to have to be an intelligent, thorough conversation, not 14 seconds worth of time, and then I yield. That's not
only that, but what RFK Jr. is actually advocating for is letting the parents decide. So he's saying, if you want to give your child 15, 20 shots at one time, or you want to give him, then you can do it. But it's not something that doctors are going to mandate, schools mandate, or something that you have to do. It should be left up to the parent. And so that's what, I agree with. And just quickly, she's a hypocrite. Remember, we all know in COVID, they were advocating for giving out shots and doing COVIDs based off of race. Remember how they were saying white people had to go to the back of the line to get the shots, and that they were only going to give shots to black people for certain things. So she's a hypocrite. They don't care about race. They don't care about black people. They just want to make a moment and to shout if whatever, however they can, whenever they can. If she can say something is racist, then she's done her job. And she said, y'all, I can go home because I was able to shout racism. And that's all I got to do. So that's what it is. But we'll continue to follow this story. I do want to acknowledge our super chat, folks. Thank you so much. Kung Fu CJ says he is right. She is a buffoon. All right. At last, Satisfied Patriot with the $10 super chat said, I had to eat crow. Melania didn't sue The View after all.
Wow.
Too much damn misinformation out there to suit me. I wish she had, though. Yeah.
Me
I
too.
think
No worries. No worries at last. No worries.
yeah. Yep, that was something that was thrown out there, but it wasn't true. Speaking of The View, we got to talk about what they said about the Grammys last night. Take a look here. This is clip 7.
The Grammys were last night. What did you think?
I loved them, and I love that Beyonce won for Best Country Album, and she also won for Album of the Year. She is the most nominated, artist. She's in Grammy history with 99 throughout her career. I think what was really important is she said sometimes the word genre makes it genre is a code word to keep us in our place.
Well,
and that was important.
My heart was bursting with joy because Sheila E. and Gloria Estefan won for the best, and it was for the song by Celia Cruz, Bemba Colorada. But then, so there was a lot of Latina women power, and then Shakira also won, and she took the chance, she took the opportunity to use her platform to defend our community that's being targeted and profiled, and more people need to lose the fear and do what Shakira did last night. We have a clip.
I want to dedicate this award to all my immigrant brothers and sisters in this country. You're loved, you're worth it, and I will always fight with you.
Yeah. Gracias, Shakira.
Another inspiring thing happened that the members of the Los Angeles Fire Department actually presented the big award at the end of the night to Beyonce, and the telecast raised $7 million for fire relief from viewers alone. So I love the messaging and the tone they struck with that.
That actually beats my favorite because you saw like the joy and appreciation in the eyes of all the celebrities.
All right, so each of them, the black ones had to root for the black ones.
Exactly.
Exactly. Oh, this is sick.
Exactly.
So, what did you think about this, Nicole? Beyonce won for Best Country Album of the Year, and I think she also won for Best Country Song of the Year. So, what do you think? Did she deserve it, or
no? That album was. Listen, I think. They did what they needed to do after Jay-Z had his meltdown. After Jay-Z dragged them for absolute filth, said nobody go on the show, we're not doing this anymore, and all of that. They finally gave his wife, which he should have won years ago, right? And having Taylor Swift, be there, made that whole episode with Kanye West and Taylor Swift and Beyonce, a finished thing. The part I really liked in the snippets that I saw, because God knows I didn't watch it, is when they had the firefighters. I wish they would have brought on also the prisoners who've been fighting these fires for $1.15 an hour. It would have been great if they would have brought those people in to say thank you for saving our homes. And in a room that probably held 2, maybe 3 billion with the B dollars to raise 7 million.
Yeah, Shelly, what are your thoughts here? Before I get your thoughts, I want to pull up this super chat. Super chatter says, DEI Beyonce, change my mind. That's from Hard Member. Do you agree or disagree? Was it DEI that Beyonce won Country Album of the Year?
I think so. Now, like Nicole, I didn't watch the Grammys. I haven't watched the Grammys, whatever, the Academy Awards. I haven't watched, I don't know, it's been more than 20 plus years, I know. So that's number one. Number two, I am not a Beyonce fan. However, I enjoy some of her songs from this country, whatever the name of the album is, this country. I like the creativity. I like some of the little twists or layers, I call it, that she gives some of the country music. Now, having said that, I don't know if she necessarily should have won Country Album of the Year. I do think it was a DEI. That's not to say that she's not talented. Again, I like some of the songs on this album. However, it's all for show. I don't believe those firefighters and all of those firehouses in LA. I think they're gonna probably get about maybe 100,000 of their 7 million. I don't think they're gonna get much of it. So whatever.
Well, what do you think, Tyron, Soldiers of Finance? Did she deserve it? Do you listen? Are you a country music listener?
Well, let me answer that by saying I'm reading artists in my playlist right now. The Brothers Johnson, Bill Withers, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Okay. I've checked out of pop culture so long ago. I don't know who the hell these people are. I can't recognize anything they sang. I think the last movie I saw might have been Jaws. I'm just so, any pop culture is so fake, contrived, and phony, and it's a lot of messaging in it also. Mm-hmm. And I stay the hell away from it. As far as the one little girl talking about, she's giving the award to her people. She's probably a multimillionaire. Why don't you buy your people some billable hours with some immigration lawyers? I think that'll go a little bit further than the statue that you're going to keep on your mantelpiece.
Right.
So it's all, to me, just so ridiculous. And I understand that we need to be entertained. I get that. But somewhere along the line, we went from court jesters and elevating them. Mm-hmm. There's never been another time in human history where the court jester carried so much weight in society. Mm-hmm. And I am just not with it.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing, Beyonce made the comment that the genre is something to keep them in their place. She's an idiot. Genre is a category of artistic composition. It just means they've divided these songs and the music based off of the type of music that they are playing. So therefore, you wouldn't have an R&B singer competing with classical music. She's an idiot.
Well,
she's just use this stuff to create some type of racial grift.
That's it. She's of this new generation that thinks that they're the first to do it. Beyonce, you're not the first Black person to succeed in that genre. You ever heard of Ray Charles? Okay. It's just all of
Charlie Pickens. Yeah, there's a lot of Black.
So disgusting.
And then she gets up there and she don't even look like a Black woman. That's another thing. So we have these people shout from the rooftops. Soon as a white woman puts box braids in her hair, soon as a white woman even has one plaque, all cultural appropriation, how dare you? But she can come on stage in a platinum blonde wig. Absolutely. On. Now, again, I have no issue. Wear what you want to wear. You look how you want to look. But don't sit here and talk about cultural appropriation and you are wearing a platinum blonde, silky straight wig.
Right.
That we know
And we know the wig probably costs more than many Black people that she claims that she supports. I mean, the wig probably costs more than their whole wardrobe does, okay? So it's all for show. It's performative. I love that, Tyrone, when you said, like, the court gestures. Now the jesters are the elevated class. Court jesters used to do that. They used to entertain the court, entertain the people, throw their little 3 balls up and the fire and all that stuff. And that was it. That was it.
The thing that really gets me upset is it's not real. It's not real. It's a grift. They don't care about Black people. They are using it to continue to sell records, to play on the grift, to get her politicians elected so then she can get some type of kickback. We literally just were talking about that. I mean, these people are so phony. And I just wish Black people would wake up and see you are being played. Right, Kung Fu CJ, she is grifting. Exactly. That's exactly what she's doing. And they're weird. And that brings me to Jaden Smith. And here he is, Will Smith's son. With his sister. Then the sister looked all right. I liked her look. I will admit, she didn't look bad. I mean, she got on her underwear, but I loved her hair. But here's Jaden Smith coming out with some type of castle on his head. What is that?
I don't know. Was he supposed? I mean, what was the statement? Was he saying that he's the king of his castle, or
maybe? I don't know.
I mean, look, these children, well, they're not children anymore, but they are, and I'm not talking about just Will and Jada's children or spawn. A lot of Hollywood has been corrupt, and that's putting it lightly, for decades, if not centuries. Okay, this is a known fact. Even some of the older, if you will, eras, the Frank Sinatra era and the Judy Garland era, Hollywood destroyed many of them.
That's true.
So it's already known, but yet again, you can't help it. I mean, their parents are in Hollywood, so they are reproducing, their spawn, their prodigies, whatever. But it's tantamount to abuse in a lot of ways. We know the stories. Many of these young people in Hollywood, they go to drugs, suicide, all kinds of substances, if you will, substance abuse, mental health, to say the least. And yet we still idolize these people. We idolize them beyond. We shouldn't idolize them at all. But we certainly look to them as if they are more than whatever it is that they do to entertain us, as if they are some kind of credible messenger that we should just take to and listen to, and certainly we should follow. It's really sad.
It's really strange. Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's a great actor, but what does that mean? It means that he's good at pretending to be other people. Okay. And, it's nice to go see a movie where he's an entertaining guy. But if that whole trade ceased tomorrow, okay, well, planet Earth would continue to spin just fine. All right. I saw him giving a speech in front of the UN on climate change. And I'm like, wait a minute. He might have played some role like a climatologist, but he's not really. Okay, it's like you're the UN. You're exercising the same judgment I had when I was 6 and I saw Superman, and I thought if I put a bath towel around my neck, maybe I could fly too. Okay, why do y'all have him up here like he's like that? Translates into
it's our fault.
Credibility
because people have used we already know that Hollywood, churches, many of the institutions have been infiltrated by Marxists. And so now they have infiltrated Hollywood, of course. And now we, the people, have given them this power because we put them up on pedestals. And like you mentioned, or someone in the comments mentioned, they're sick. Here we have in photo 2, Kanye West and Bianca Censori, whatever her name is, Censori. He has her out here almost pretty much butt naked. This is photo 2 and 3. Do we have that? Yeah, here she is. And look, you got a little boy in the back seeing the whole thing. This is clip 2 of them walking the red carpet at the Grammys. There you have it.
What can she possibly do next year? Okay. What can she do to more extravagant and stupid? What can she do next year?
Yeah, it's sick. And we have a super chatter here. I want to get these super chats. Hard member. Much obliged for the open mind, my dear panel. All right. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Jeff Arrington with the $10 super chat says, outstanding work, ladies. Don't let cowards hinder the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Laura. Well, you see him now. There he is. Brown Eyes with the $5 super chat says there was a Hispanic singer there that wore her MAGA hat. Right,
Jovia.
Yeah, and said she's glad Trump was deporting migrants, but The View did not mention that.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah,
you know what I don't understand? I'll say many of these Hollywood types weren't they also supporting this Me Too movement? Sexual abuse. Why are they not jumping on Kanye? To me, again, they're both adults. I don't know Bianca's mental state or whatever, but I mean, in any other event, any other arena, this would be tantamount to sexual abuse or sexual harassment, whatever, human trafficking, whatever you want to call it, right? But yet they all applauding this. And it made me think, Tyrone, this made me think. We idolize these people. When we were younger, we didn't have all of these digital formats and social media. We had maybe a TV or two TVs in the house. Maybe one of them may have been black and white before they turned over to color. So we didn't even see all of this stuff that goes on in Hollywood or in these people's lives. We were excited once a year or once a quarter or whatever to see the Academy Awards or the Grammys. And, that was fine because all we had to do during the rest of the year was listen to the music or go to the movies once in a while to see a good movie. That was it. We didn't know all this other stuff was going on in their lives, except for maybe a book might come out every now and then. But this is part of the social media. Kanye and Bianca literally get to show their asses, and it's applauded.
Yeah, it's actually pornography. It's tantamount to pornography. All right, that's number one. Number two, I have been saying this for a long time, and you guys know here we are free speech and we say what we feel. Candace Owens, where is your voice on this? Where is your voice? Candace has been calling out everybody under the sun in pop culture, in politics. She put out the Daily Wire. She has been blasting them for I don't know how long. She's just was talking about them last week for their treatment of the young girl. I forget
her name. The one that left the show.
Right, the one who left the show. And she has not said one thing about the despicable things that Kanye West has been doing. He has been gallivanting this woman around the world, half naked. And we see here she was naked. Everything was out. She was butt naked. And a little boy was watching. Not only that, but this thing, we blurred it out just for respect, but there are many of the news organizations and social media did not blur
it out.
Showed it
as it is. Yeah, they just showed the whole thing.
Showed it as it was. This man, she has had him on her show. She has defended him. All of the nasty things he has said, everything, she has always defended him. She is supposed to be this person that stands for modesty, that stands for truth, that stands for, against this type of stuff. And she has not said one word. So what's going on? That's what I want to know. And I'm a huge fan. I agree with her on most things. I love the broadcast she brought forward just on Friday, exposing the Macrons and the pedophilia that they have been pushing among other elites. Where is it on Kanye? That's what I want to know. Because if she doesn't speak out about it, to me, she's a hypocrite. And I've been saying that for a long time. That's just my perspective. That's just how I feel. He's in media. He's a mainstream public person. He was trying to say like he was a Christian for a while ago. We can see clearly this man has some type of issue and it's disgusting. And she should call him out. She should call him out. So we'll wait. That's just my 2 cents.
But, KJ, it's the same thing that happens in all places in Hollywood. You look at Oprah and Weinstein. She has yet to call him what he was. They're friends. And she's taken, quote unquote, the quiet route. So she's not caught up in his stuff. And maybe Candace has taken that same tact with Kanye. But when you take a look at the history of these award shows, every year there's a woman or two who's so close to naked. That little boy, I'm sure he was on his computer with his friends, on his cell phone with his friends. I just saw a butt naked lady out in front of the, whoever's kid he is probably had to sit him down and say, look, women don't dress like that. Typically, this is some high art, some high fashion, try to explain it away. However, These shows come on prime time. This is not late night TV.
Exactly.
You know, and think back to Sierra when she had on Next to Nothing, and her husband purported to be the highest order of Christians. You know, and people came after him, and he said, "This is my wife. She was on my arm. It should be okay. She has a beautiful body. This is what God made." And I'm sure Kanye is going to take that same tact when people ask him why his wife was out here showing all the goods at a public event and giving this little boy either the thrill or the nightmare of his life. We don't know which, because you can't tell by the expression on his face. He looked a little shocked. Imagine
that little boy reminded me of.
Yeah,
that little boy reminded me of the kid in the book. The Emperor has no clothes.
Has no clothes. Yep.
Everybody saying, "Oh, Bianca!" All the journalists, "Oh, Bianca, you're beautiful," and he's looking like, "No, she's naked." You know, like that's
Right.
just it. I mean,
naked.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah,
it's getting worse every year. You know, I remember when they used to just be people who had like leather clothing, like tight leather, and that because Kanye, when he first brought her out, he had her wrapped up in some kind of plexi or something. But they always do something that's a little left of center. And I get that that's his creativity. She's said to be his muse, and that's where they were kind of going with that. But I think in this environment where the country is trending more traditional, they missed the mark.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing.
I think it should be outlawed personally.
Why?
Because we know it's illegal to give pornography to a child.
Absolutely.
Now we have gone into the digital age. Everything is newspapers are gone, really. Everything is digital. And this stuff is pretty much pornography is out here on the internet for any child, young person to see. And I think that it should be against the law to allow this type of stuff on the mainstream media and things like that. It should not be. It should be against the law. And you know, it's illegal to give. If I had a paper magazine and I gave it to a little boy like that, showing all this stuff, it would be illegal. Why isn't it illegal to put it online?
I don't know, but one more thought that just came to my mind. As creative, as talented, and I'm using that broadly speaking for all of these Hollywood types. It's interesting that no matter how successful they are in their own craft, in their own field, they still vie for more and more attention. Getting the accolades and awards, rightly deserved, whatever, in their own craft, things that they put out, things that they've worked hard on, that's not enough. They still have to go whatever extra to get more and more attention. It's really sad. It's really sad.
Oh, it's occult. It's all by design. It's not them wanting attention necessarily. This is the puppet masters pulling the strings. This is for people. They do this to push an agenda. You know, if we allow this enough, then everybody's going to be walking around naked. You see how they've pushed the envelope year after year. They do something more and more bold because they know nobody's going to say anything. They continue to push this stuff. And then now it's mainstream. So like you said, before this stuff used to be on late night. For somebody to do like something like that, it used to be on late night. Now it's on prime time TV for everybody to see. And this is what the occult does. This is what their agenda is. And unfortunately, they are getting it. They're getting this agenda across. And they don't talk, and they're doing this and don't talk about other stuff. We got to end it for that tonight. I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. All right, folks. Thank you all so much. Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Yes, thank you so much. Gimpy says, CT is still your king of FBAs. All right, Gimpy. We see you. All right, guys, we do have our other shows here on the network. We have the All American Talk Show will be on tomorrow. Well, actually, it's not on tomorrow. It's coming on Friday. So it'll be on Friday. So check out that YouTube channel, the All American Talk Show. Yes. So that will be on Friday. Thursday is my show at KJ Christian Conservative. It's actually at KJCJ Christian Conservative. Will be on Thursday, and we have Bevelyn Beatty Williams will be on with us on Thursday. You do not want to miss it. She is going to be like no other interview on here. Christian Conservatives, go subscribe so you know when we go live on Christian Conservative with KJ. You can search that. Also, we have Just the Guys. Just the Guys is on Saturdays. They will be on Saturday bringing you all the news and politics and culture from a male conservative perspective. Check them out there at Just the Guys podcast. All right. So that's if you love conservative content, you can get it all different types of ways. No matter how you like it, we give it to you. So, folks, that does it for us. We talked about a lot of stuff tonight. I would like to close out the show with this clip. So we have Al Sharpton. He's been at Costco talking about DEI. Sonny Hostin's talking about DEI. Also, Brooks calling it racist to talk about different medical procedures. But what about all of the crime that's going on in our inner cities amongst Black folk? Guys, we want you to check out this video as we close out. We will see you on Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday at 8 p.m. Soldiers of Finance. Check out Soldiers of Finance on YouTube as well. And we will be back on Wednesday. This is clip 4. Good night.
New information about the grandmother killed in what police are calling a targeted shooting in North Baltimore. Family confirms 52-year-old Antoinette Tunstall Jennings worked for Baltimore City Schools and had just left her granddaughter's basketball game where there had been an altercation involving the two teams. Alexa Ashwell joins us live in studio with some newly obtained surveillance video that captures the disturbing, really sad crime. Alexa?
Yes, Mary, I spoke with the victim's husband off camera. As you can imagine, they're simply devastated by this crime. He tells me his wife, their son, and 2 grandchildren were inside this car and had just left one granddaughter's basketball game when they were ambushed at a red light. Shocking surveillance captures the ambush of 52-year-old Antoinette Tunstall Jennings, her 29-year-old son, and 2 granddaughters following a basketball game this past Wednesday evening. Take a look. The family is stopped at this red light at York Road and Woodbourne Avenue in North Baltimore. Suddenly, 2 people appear in the crosswalk on the left side of your screen. A third person exits the car stopped behind the victim's car. Seconds later, shots fired. As the suspects run out of frame, a car that had pulled up in the opposite lane just before the shooting pulls off. 2 of the victims then jump out of the car in a desperate attempt to save the young grandmother's life.
We had 2 shooters that appeared and opened fire on the vehicle.
At the scene, Baltimore police confirmed the shooting was targeted. The next day, Commissioner Richard Worley was questioned further, specifically whether the shooting was connected to a basketball game.
I can't get into what it was connected to. I can tell you it was something that should never have escalated.